for coming. Cool to have you all here. Wow, it's still talking, huh? They talk to themselves, too, when we're not here, you find. But just a couple of quick thank yous are in order as we get going. I want to thank Ruth and Katie from the gallery here for having us. It's an incredible place for us to be at. It's a perfect vibe, and we're just so happy to be here. We've been talking to them for a while about getting this going, and so that was the first thing. And there's too many people to thank, so I won't do a Grammys type of speech right here. But there's and I'll forget people, but there is Chris right here who's helped and with setting up give the right title. So many different things. Casey might be here who helped with electronics. Fred helped with the aluminum backings, design of that. And Peter's here.
I don't know how many kids or sons would want to do something with their mother, so it's been a really great experience, and also a very, it's really expanded what I do artistically. It's been a challenge, and I've learned a lot in doing it. So I'll just say that Mike and I discussed doing something like this for over 15 years, and so it's been in the works, at least conceptually, for a long time. And when Mike released the album Inside In, we said, well, we finally, this is the time to do it. So the actual project that you see here today we've been working on for 2 or 3 years, and a lot went into it, and we've had a lot of help, as Mike mentioned. It's not just the two of us. So we just wanted to give you just a brief introduction, and then we hope that you'll ask lots of questions. Okay. Okay.
Can you hear us talking okay? Just to check with everything that's going on. Straight directly into it. Hello, check. Okay.
Whatever. Yeah.
Okay, I think we're just gonna go right to questions, and unless we're inspired by some question to ramble. So let's do that. Oh, right here.
I guess one thing is really it's hard to imagine the process, and so I just talk a little bit about how the sounds were extracted, how they were chosen, and then sort of a little bit about the process of the fabrication and blending the sounds.
Yeah, actually, you're right. Okay. We're just going to talk about what we did here for a second. And since the sounds kind of came first, I'll start and then Pat. For me, it's sort of, another question, but not yet. For me, it actually started with a movie, Outside Out, which was a strange feature-length movie that I made, and I spent a lot of time on the sound design, mixing some musical instruments and some textural ambient sounds, and I spent 5,000 hours making the whole movie, all aspects of it. But so from Outside Out, once the movie was done, later I took some of that background music from the movie and turned it into this album Inside In, writing lyrics to some of the textural pieces. And so this album Inside In came out, and from that we decided it was time to get back into this concept of collaborating, and we extracted sounds out of the album. So there's a bunch of tracks, there's 30 tracks going at once. We might have just taken 2 or 3 tracks of the sound and taken that out so you could really hear it alone. Because we wanted each sound to be very spare so that it would mix with the others in a way that creates a combined sound. And if there was too much going on with each one, it would get to be too much. So that's why I call it, sometimes I call it sound rather than music, coming out of each one. And then the music is created by mixing them all together. But so I took each sound, Jared helped with looping them, finding ways to loop them so that it's not so obvious, but it's fairly repetitive. They loop in different ways from one to the next. And then we chose some that we thought would be appropriate and that would mix together. We had, I don't know, 50 or 60 or however many. And then we took our favorite 23 actually, and she used 22 of them and made these pieces. And one isn't here, it's like sort of like a spare. It's also the one that she is keeping that no one can see. It's a really good one too. But the 23rd sound, I told Jared, yeah, we used 22 sounds, not 23. And he said, oh, what sound was used? And I said, oh, yes, the one that went, wow! And he said, that was a big mistake. So you never know. There's always possibilities. Maybe one out on Church Street on one of those little signs. So then I handed them over, and she listened to each sound while creating each piece to match the sound. That'll be better.
Okay. So,
Question? Okay. What are they made out of? They're made out of plastic. And they're painted. It's, you know, a few layers of plastic that are painted.
How do you heat them?
I use a very high, it's a very, it's an engineered heat gun that comes from Switzerland, so that it has different heat settings, and I use it on a very high setting. But it takes a very high heat, a lot of temperature to heat each section. I can't do them all at once, so I do a few inches or maybe this size section at a time. So I'm doing it and bending it and then moving along with the heat gun and doing another section.
It's like a hair dryer?
It looks like a hair dryer. It's actually smaller and gets a lot hotter. Much a lot hotter than a paint stripper, and I get it from a special firm that supplies engineering supplies.
They have music coming out of it, so maybe it's like talk a little bit about your interaction between people and music and the audience, like that kind of thing.
Right.
It's really like, this is your audience, and those are the people.
Yeah, what she's suggesting is that I have a special relationship with making music, but then getting to know the people who listen to the music, and this is a whole twisting on that where the music has become people. And actually, let me ad-lib on that, on one more concept here. I want to explain why we're hearing these sounds now, because usually what happens, in case you just walked in and you haven't been in here before, is when you get closer, it ramps up its sound based on your proximity. And so not too many people are standing right in front of them like I was right now, maybe over there, but the reason that you're hearing the sound now is because as we've changed the software involved in a chip inside, there's been this issue with cross-talking between them where one will perceive the sensor of the other, especially across the room, more so than next to. And we discovered along the way that we actually liked that because it created this atmosphere where they sort of talk to each other, and then when you stand up in front of them, it's different. We might keep experimenting with different software as time goes on, but a couple nights ago we came by when the gallery was closed and dark and put our ears against the glass, and they were talking to each other, planning out the events of the next day. It's cool that they really have, like, I start to feel like they have emotional qualities and presences, each one, and different people gravitate toward different ones, and so they really seem to have their own personalities. Anyway.
I wanted you explained how you came to the music loop.